today's humble little faith moment, and this is my prop. As you can see within my prop are fine grains of unknown substance. And if I were to walk up to you and say, "Sir, what is this substance?" You would go, "I don't know, looks like fine grains of unknown substance." Because you're not knowledgeable in my fine grains of unknown substance. Now, you might look at it and go, well, it's a little thin, it's a little this, it has a kind of a smell of, it has kind of a taste of, well, I'm not quite sure what it is, but it has qualities of, and that's all you could do. Because unless you have tasted of this good substance in great quantity, you're not going to be quite sure what it is. Your senses haven't been exercised yet to know. Now, a mature person will have had years of testing unknown substance and will be able to say, "Oh, I know what this is." But somebody else might say, "Well, how do you know? How do you know that's what it is?" Well, I say this is hot chocolate. And they're going to go, "How do you know? That don't sound like hot chocolate, taste like hot chocolate, look like hot chocolate. I don't know what this is. But I know what it is because I'm used to it." But the doubter and the skeptic is always going to say, "I'm not so sure about that." Okay? Mm-hmm. Their faith cannot be at your level of faith if their experience isn't at your level of experience. That's rule number one of faith. Okay? Because our experiences increase our faith. We go from faith to faith. We go from having had a taste of it, to having had a cup of it, to having had a jar of it, but to the skeptic, you have to understand, you're trying to tell them something that they're not quite getting. Because you're trying to communicate your faith, and they're taking it and going, "Looks like grains of sand to me." Okay? Now, if I take my faith and I put a pre-shelf label on it that is plain for all to see, I have interpreted my grain of faith for them. I have given them a reference point to the grain of faith. But I still have to do one more thing. They can say, "But that could be mislabeled. This could be not what you think it is." In which case, then I am responsible to hand them my faith and say, "Drink for yourself. I will prove to you it came out of this. I will give it to you to consume. And now we will be able to identify our faith together. Because I proved to you it came from this, and you've now experienced this." Faith then grows. It increases with usage, with distribution, with labeling. Does help to label. Okay? Now here's what God did. He said, "I'm going to teach you the faith. I'm going to have a whole bunch of men who've had experiences, write them down in a plain black wrapper." Okay, I'm kidding. It was really a brown wrapper and rolled. Okay? But this is what the men said. "We have tasted of the Lord, and He is good. Here's the flavor you need to try. Try this." And handed them, as it were, their experiences, which we now call Scripture. We bank our faith on the fact that this label is in gold, spiritually speaking. But we also bank our faith on the fact that we have taken, tasted, experienced. Mm-hmm. Then we say to those who are skeptics, "Here, this is the container. Go make your own brew. And when you get done brewing it, come back and we'll talk." Because you have to taste it for yourself. Faith doesn't just osmosisly go across the universe and drop into the other side. God has to come from the other side and say, "Go ahead, let's experience it together." And then the faith becomes real.
That's right.
Then it becomes solid. Then it becomes usable. Then it becomes drinkable. Then it becomes substance. It goes from being, well, a nice little powdery idea to a very strong and potent substance.
Absolutely.
depending on what part of the ingredients you read. Every cup is different, depending on how you make it. So be aware. Your faith is not just something that you know, and it is not just something you experience. And to the unbeliever, your faith is not anything until they can step into it. They have to step into it. That's where the difference starts coming in. People who are in the world say, I just don't get it, I don't get it, I don't get it, I don't get it, I don't get you Christians, I don't get it. One day Jesus Christ shows up and they go, I get it, 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 I get it. They have gone from no faith to faith by way of the door. So, our job, keep handing out the faith, keep handing out the grains, make sure you give it to them with a label too if necessary, for easy storing on their middle shelf, because someday somebody's going to come along and say, oh, I didn't know you had one of those up there. That's really good stuff. I've experienced that. This is not an endorsement for Safer Products in any way. This is really good stuff. And they're going to say, can we talk about that? And they're going to pull it off that person's shelf, and they're going to take what you planted, and they're going to put some water in it, changing the analogy of Scripture a little bit. And they're going to take that water and stir it up and say, here, try this. Have you ever tried drinking it? It's really good stuff. Oh, really? I just thought it was a bunch of grains of ideas that I had up on my shelf. I never knew it was that powerful of a mixture. So, exercise your faith, distribute your faith, and help people to try their faith. That's your faith book.